Hey y'all, how we doing? Welcome to episode 71 of the Fourth Down Forum podcast. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be covering our Week 5 NFL Pickems. That is going to start with tonight's game, a NFC West showdown between the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, who do I have winning this game and why? Well, if we look at the San Francisco 49ers, they are currently decimated with injuries right now. I believe Kittle is on IR still. Purdy came back for a week just to re-aggravate his toe injury. There's some other injuries who I'm sure I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Whereas the Rams, they got guys like, Stafford, although he's up there in age, he's still a top NFL quarterback. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. I am taking the Rams to win tonight's game. Then we got our Sunday slate. We got a matchup, another international matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns. Now, the notes on the Cleveland Browns here are that Dylan Gabriel, not Joe Flacco, is going to be the starting NFL quarterback, or the starting quarterback for the Browns. So he will be making his, I don't want to say his full start debut, because I think in week 2 he came in as relief and threw a touchdown against the Ravens. But who do I have winning this game and why? I think I'm going to take the Vikings. I believe Carson Wentz is still the quarterback for the Vikings at the moment. I think, like I said last episode, I trust him to do more. Obviously, I was wrong because the Steelers got that win in week 4. So, then we get the Cowboys, we get the Jets. I don't think realistically in any universe I could confidently take the New York Jets to win a football game this season. So, I know the Cowboys have some injuries on their end. I know their defense is just as bad as my team's defense. That's not me sugarcoating anything. Like, the numbers are, I think, Ravens 31st, 32nd, Cowboys 31st, 32nd. So they're like, great. Taking the Cowboys to win this game. So, why am I taking the Cowboys? I just think they're all around the better football team out of the two. I know CeeDee Lamb is injured right now, but you figure they have some weapons. They brought in Pickens. They can manage. Giant Saints. Now, this one is interesting because Jackson Dart is making his second regular season start against one of the teams that passed him up back in April in the NFL draft. And that sits with you when, you get passed up, you get rejected for things. That sits with you. So I'm sure Jackson Dart is going to have a chip on his shoulder. I am taking the New York Giants to get their second win of the season. Raiders, Colts, now. This one was a little weird last week because Donnie Mitchell fumbled the game away. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, whatever you want to call him, he has been playing phenomenal football this year. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. The Raiders, two bright spots that they have on offense. I would say Brock Bowers, which I'm a little mad at myself because in 2 of my fantasy leagues, I traded Brock Bowers away. And Ashton Genty. However, I am taking the Colts to win this game. Now, Dolphins, Panthers. This one is weird because the Dolphins, they just lost Tyreek Hill for the season due to a gruesome injury. The Panthers, they still seem to be, even after all these years, figuring things out still, which is interesting to say. The Dolphins still have Tua. They still have Waddle. So I am taking the Dolphins to win this game. Now, Broncos, Eagles, because let's talk about it. Sorry about that, y'all. At the time of this recording, it is looking like our potential Super Bowl matchup, which we can come back to this in February and see if I'm right on this or I'm wrong. But it's looking like from the AFC representative, we're going to get the Bills, who are unbeaten. And from the NFC representative, we're going to get the Eagles, who are unbeaten. So, I say that to say this. Who do I have winning this game between the Broncos and the Eagles? Now, the Broncos have a phenomenal offense, good defense, and the Eagles have been seemingly struggling on defense. So, I think I am taking the Eagles to suffer their first loss here, and I'm going to go with the Broncos upsetting the Eagles. Why? Because, like I said, the Eagles seem to be struggling on offense. They seem to be trying to get into the rhythm of what their offensive identity is. And they don't seem to really know who they are right now. You know, Saquon could be having these big numbers. You know, you faked the tush push last week, which was creative. I'll give you props for that. But you're barely scraping by with wins, which, hell, I'll tell you as a Ravens fan, I would gladly scrape by with wins as opposed to what we've been doing. But we'll get into that later in the episode, okay? Speaking of which, it's later in the episode. I didn't realize that the Texans-Ravens game was right after this. So let's talk about it. The Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, are decimated with injuries right now. At the time of this recording, Lamar Jackson's dealing with a hamstring injury. No, he's healthy. All of our corners are dropping like flies. Roquan Smith, hamstring injury. Defensive tackle, Matabike. Hurt and potentially season ending. Now, I saw a thing on Twitter yesterday that said somebody hired an Etsy witch, and I get it, it's October, it's Halloween, right? To put a curse on this damn team. I get it's Halloween, I get it's spooky season, but can we not? Can we not? I was telling one of my boys, I was like, you know, it's crazy because, you know, that song, I want to say it's by Olivia Rodrigo, right? Deja Vu. I know there's the Eminem one. I think there's that one too. But I think this is more relevant to the story. I feel like I am living a sense of deja vu right now. Because way back when in 2021, I went through a lot of similar stuff that I'm going through right now. And I'm like, And the Ravens being decimated by injuries was part of that. Now, who do I have winning this game and why? Because we get into the crappy O-line play of the Houston Texans versus the atrocious defensive line play of the Baltimore Ravens. You know what's funny? My boy Michael, who has his podcast that y'all should definitely check out. I will link it below. He picked us in Pickems. So I'm going to return the favor and pick the Texans in Pickems because there is no way, the only way, actually, let me not get ahead of myself, that I trust the Ravens to win this game is if John Harbaugh and Monken get their head out of their you-know-where and realize, hey, we got Derrick Henry in the backfield. Our backup quarterback's probably starting. Maybe, just maybe, we should run the guy that used to terrorize this division to get the game won. So I'm taking the Texans. Don't feel good about it, but, you know, can't always be a homer for my team. Titans, Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals did just lose one of their players to injury for a bit. I think it was their running back. The name eludes me at the moment. I do apologize for that. I'm taking the Cardinals to win this game over the Titans, though, because, Bucks, Seahawks. Now, this could be a very underrated game. The Buccaneers are a talented football team. The Seattle Seahawks have former Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald. And Mike Macdonald, if you are listening, if things ever go south and you ever want to come back, and be a defensive coordinator, I know it's not going to happen anytime soon, but crazier things have happened, right? Right? Sorry about that, though. I am, however, going to take the Tampa Bay Bucks over the Seahawks for this game. Lions, Bengals. Now, this one's going to be interesting because the Bengals, at the time of this recording of this episode, Joe Burrow is still out. And because Joe Burrow is still out, how is this team going to respond with Jake Browning as QB? Now, Jake Browning does have chemistry with the team because he started some games for the Bengals last season. However, the Lions have, even still losing their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator last season, I saw it week 3 against my Ravens. They still have a phenomenal defense. They have, I'd argue, one of, if not the most aggressive head coach in the NFL right now. And they have playmakers all around. They have Gibbs, they have Laporta, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Goff, who, in that system has flourished. So I'm taking the Detroit Lions to win this game. Now, Commanders, Chargers. The Chargers are coming off their first loss of the season against the New York Giants. The Commanders are getting Jaden Daniels back. The Commanders also may not have Deebo Samuel for this game. But I have been very critical since I rebooted this channel, since I've started the Fourth Down Forum podcast, on how I do not trust a Greg Roman-led offense. And still to this day, I do not trust a Greg Roman-led offense. So, because of that, I am taking the Commanders to win. And then we get the Patriots and Bills. We get an AFC East matchup. So, here's the thing, right? I said the Bills are one of the unbeatens. Unlike the Eagles, who are predicted to lose their first game of the season, I do not see the Bills dropping this game. They play the Patriots. They have played the AFC East for all of time. It is, and I will say this much, it has been for the past 7-8 years, one of, if not the easiest division in football. Because realistically, who's your competition outside of Buffalo? Miami, sometimes they have their up and down seasons. But since Brady went to the Bucs that one year and, he was dominating, this is Josh Allen in the Bills division until somebody steps up and decides enough's enough. And I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. The Bills also will be debuting their rivalry jerseys, I think, Sunday night, which is the whiteout jersey, which, don't get me wrong, I can put my, disdain for a team's fan base aside and say that the jerseys look nice. They look pretty good. And then, but I'm taking the Bills to win this game. You got the reigning MVP in Josh Allen. You got all these other things going on. James Cook, Shakir, There's another receiver whose name I can't think of right now. But they got weapons, so. And then we get into our Monday night football game, which looks like we're not getting into a doubleheader, which I appreciate greatly. The doubleheaders can be a bit draining sometimes, if we're being honest. Sorry about that. But we have the Chiefs and we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I could sit here, I could be like, the Jaguars are going to beat the Chiefs, but we all know that's not going to happen, right? Because last week, I put myself through pain and misery watching a decimated Ravens team get destroyed by Kermit the Frog and Mr. Swift. Now, no disdain to those players, no hate towards them, but the Chiefs are winning this game. There's no question about it. So, let's talk about other things coming up on this channel. We have a set date for the Kobe Bryant player episode. That's going to be next year, 2026. Will be one of the first episodes of 2026. I am already thinking of content to push and promote for the channel during the off season. Now, obviously, y'all know you will get free agent frenzy. We'll probably try to take a deep dive into some combine prospects. So that will be February, March timeline. Your mock draft, you always get a mock draft episode. Usually I sit down with Michael, we do our due diligence, try to figure out, But I'm also thinking of other things for the channel, like doing an episode on if the Madden curse holds up or not. And I know I won't be the first one to do it, but it is something I thought would be interesting. Other player profiles, players I grew up watching, like Peyton Manning, for example. Y'all know, I said on the last episode, he is my all-time favorite quarterback. So that is something that's being looked at, being brought onto the channel. We are in the middle of baseball season, but honestly, with how my Orioles have played for the past 2 years, y'all probably won't get a baseball episode again until opening day of next season, and we'll see where we stand with that. NBA episode, that will probably be dropping sometime this month, because I know that basketball starts right around, I want to say, like the week before, the week of Halloween. So, we'll look at that. We'll look at the matchups that are going on opening night. We'll look at some key elements, things of that nature. And at the moment, if it does seem like I'm not very high energy, I do apologize. I am recording this first thing in the morning, trying to get this put out before tonight's game. One other thing that I want to bring up is, once we hit 500 subs on this channel, which is something I have been pushing for a very long time, I believe we are sitting at like 308, 309, somewhere around that mark. There are two things that are going to happen. One, once I hit 500 subs on this channel, I get to hit partner, which means once I hit partner, this channel is eligible for, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, this channel is eligible for monetization. That is something that I have been trying to work towards. I can get, ad watch pages, things of that nature. I have told y'all from the jump when I restarted this is what I want to make a career out of. This is what I want to do full time. The only way to do that is to keep promoting, keep pushing episodes, things of that nature. So the other thing that happens at 500 subs is we would be doing our second Fourth Down Forum giveaway. Now, the first giveaway, the winner received a Funko Pop. And lo and behold, they can tell you that I am legit with this. I do hold my end of the bargain. When you win the giveaway, you do get the product. The second channel giveaway is going to be at 500 subs. I will post the, the rules, the entry, things of that nature. Will be a mini helmet of either your favorite NFL or collegiate team of your choosing. I will reach out. I'll be like, hey, who's your team? What helmet do you want? we'll go from there. Much love. Thank y'all for the support. I appreciate y'all being here. We are going to grind. We are going to grow. We are going to keep pushing this channel. You know, not everybody's going to agree with my takes. Not everybody's going to agree with what I have to say, and I am okay with that. But thank y'all for the love. Thank y'all for the support, and I will see y'all back here for episode 72, which most likely will be your week 6 NFL Pickems.